Salida, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jim and welcome to the Sounds German review of the new album by Niklas Paschburg called Oceanic. Hamburg-based songwriter, piano player, neoclassic and electronic music mixer Niklas Paschburg has released his debut. This would have flown right over my head if Timo hadn't pointed it out to me. He released tracks and 2 EPs prior to this here and there, but Oceanic is his first full-length album. Now, when I listened to a track of his prior works deciding if I wanted to look at this album or not, the premise of his music instantly grabbed me. Niklas mixes neoclassical piano music with various electronic sounds and noises, and he does it all by himself. And Niklas certainly delivers that on this album too. It starts off with a little intro where you hear someone walking and opening a door, which is picked up again by the last track where it ends with the door being closed again and someone walking away. And uh, I gotta say, I could have done perfectly without it. It really adds nothing except the 70-second intro that delivers very little, basically just some spheric ambient sounds, and it's not like that this is picked up over the course of the album in any way. Then the first track starts, however, and begins with some wobbly electronic noises before the piano joins in, and overall very calm and chill and relaxing, and that generally goes for this album overall. Paschburg's music is very calm, and I'd almost call it peaceful or meditative. You will find almost no aggressiveness in either the electronic elements or his piano play. You might find a bit of a faster paced beat going on in the background, or some heavy bass, as you do right in the opening track actually, but it's all so held back and it really feels like the elements and their force were handpicked for this very atmosphere. Still, Niklas uses quite a variety of electronic pieces for his music. The song Anew, for example, starts out with a short piece of melody that repeats itself like a broken record, and that part persists while it gets drowned out more and more by other pieces and elements and the piano setting in, and then in the end, all that stuff simmers down again so only the variation of the beginning part is still audible. Sona, meanwhile, puts a lot of echo behind the piano and has a sound in the background I really can't pin down. It almost sounds like super toned down white noise, always just barely present enough that you notice it. With how the piano sounds here, it just creates a somewhat alien atmosphere over the whole track. My favorite track of the album, however, would be the closing one, called Appear. Begins with this somewhat fast-played piano note while the rest of the melody keeps going, but this one note gets hammered multiple times a second, then this really deep, droning beat comes along and the electronic parts build up within maybe half a minute and it just bursts all over the track. It has this almost tense build up, something the rest of the album just didn't really offer, before culminating in a really exciting crescendo where it all comes together and is just sounding right. Sadly, though, this track also demonstrates quite clearly my biggest problem of this whole album. It was simply too calm, too peaceful, too toned down for my liking. It's nothing I would consider a flaw per se, because I'm sure there are many people out there who just want an album with relaxing, calm piano music and some extras on top of it. And if you are that person, this is absolutely the album for you. But even when I tried to actively listen to this album, after just a few tracks in a row, I found my mind just wandering away again and again and again. I just couldn't really keep my focus on the music because it was demanding so little of me. Most of this album hits the somewhere somber, just slightly melancholic tone, and it all just became one mass of sound by the end of it for me. I guess that's also why I really enjoyed Appear as much as I did, because I had the feeling that finally something was happening, so to say. Because really, neither the electric elements nor the piano play are so complex or impressive that you are missing out on much if you are not listening very closely. This is not some convoluted, highly technical music where you will notice new details even after multiple listens, where there are lots and lots of layers in the compositions to discover. And I guess the best description for this album for me, even though it sounds far harsher than I mean it, is that Well, I was just bored by it after listening to it a few times. And since the album is completely instrumental, I feel the compositions should really drag you in, because there is just nothing else here. However, if you are interested in this mixture and don't mind having an album that is really just calm and chill for the very most part, this really shouldn't deter you from giving it a go. Because what Paschburg does, he does just fine. I want to make it clear here, I don't think this is a badly made album, but you shouldn't expect too much craziness on here either. That might also be somewhat where a bit of my disappointment stems from. I imagined all kinds of crazy constructs Niklas would build after just listening to one song from him, and then those constructs just never came, and I can't really fault him for my expectations. But the mix he puts out is very homogeneous. It all goes along quite nice together. Except for the ending part of the song Magnetic Perturbation, that track in the end just overloads itself with the electronic side of things and it just sounds like it. Was really not too fond of that part, and I also feel it doesn't fit in with the rest of the track or the album at all. So, as a conclusion, if you want something relaxing, something you can put on as a sort of background noise to wind down a bit, something that won't distract you from whatever you are doing, well, I think Oceanic would be a good pick. Niklas Paschburg delivers an almost consistently calm atmosphere, slow piano garnered with some electric elements. However, once you listen to it, there will be no surprises for you on your future run-throughs. In fact, you will probably get very few surprises after just the first few tracks, because then you got the idea, you got what this album does, and it just keeps doing it again and again. I still think the combination he delivers has incredibly interesting potential, but I just don't see that potential being fully realized with this album. That said, I am curious what he will come up with in future, and if you want something relaxing that doesn't hit you with a lot of complexity, Oceanic is a good choice. So, I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you did, please leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you didn't like it, we have a button for that too. And if you have listened to this album, feel free to tell me in the comments what you thought about it. And if you want at least one weekly music review from an artist or band you probably never heard about before, just subscribe to the channel. You can also follow Sounds German on Facebook or Twitter. I do usually post daily new music videos on there from all kinds of artists. I hope to see you again next time. Have a nice day. Salida!